Well, hello and welcome to GeoSnippits. I'm Headhardhat. For the next few minutes, we're going to give you some interesting information and tidbits about the game, the sport, yes, the obsession, known as geocaching. Well, welcome class to GeoSnippits U. That's right, in today's session we're going to be discussing how to deal with muggles. Let's start now. Okay, so let's start right off the bat by discussing what a muggle is. A muggle, in geocaching terms, is a person who does not know what geocaching is. They have no idea what a geocache itself is, why we're looking for these containers, and why we're using these special gizmos to find it. In their eyes, we look very suspicious. And in this day and age, that could be dangerous. Let's go now and discuss what the different type of muggles actually are. Okay, so let's go over the rudimentary muggle talk. We're just going to do the basics today. First, we have what I call the oblivious muggle. Now, the oblivious muggle is the type of muggle that just goes on their average day. They walk from one place to the next, completely without a care as far as geocaches go, and don't even know that they exist around them. They're just harmless, part of the game, something that we have to be stealthy around, but they really don't care if we're there or we're not. The next muggle type that I would like to discuss is the semi-curious. Now, these are the ones that may possibly come up and ask a question about, hey, by the way, what are you doing? These are the type of people that really aren't scared about us, but they want to know what we're doing because something has drawn their suspicion. The next type of muggler that I'd like to talk about is someone I call the lingerer. Completely harmless, doesn't have a care in the world about geocaching and what we're doing, but what they do is they stand in a spot usually right next to where a geocache is. This drives us crazy because we can't go get the geocache until they leave. Matter of fact, what I highly recommend in these type of situations is that you do just that. Leave the area for a few minutes, come back when the muggler is gone, get your geocache there. The next muggler that I'd like to discuss is the one that does cause us geocachers the most pain, and I refer to them as the whistleblowers. The whistleblowers, for some reason, have their neck of the woods, their park, their area, their neighborhood, that it's their territory, and if you are not part of that area and they don't know who you are, you're immediately under suspicion. Always be aware of the whistleblowers because these are the first people that are either going to come over and find that geocache after you leave, or they're on the phone calling the police. Now that we've gone over the different type of muggle types, let's go over some ways that we look suspicious to muggles. For example, one of the things that we do all the time that make us look suspicious is we huddle around our GPS. We're hunched over, we're pushing buttons. People don't know what we're doing. And this looks a lot thicker than a standard phone. They know it's some kind of electronic device, but what is it? What does it do? People panic when they don't know. That'll get you a phone call every time, or that'll get somebody to come over to say, hey, what you doing? The next thing that we do all the time that makes us look suspicious is our body posture. If we're doing this and we're looking over our shoulder, looking for people to see if people are looking at us, that makes us look suspicious. Don't try to hide the fact that you're geocaching. Geocache with confidence. Make it look like you belong there. You look less suspicious in that way. Now, another way that we look suspicious to muggles is that we hunch over. In other words, we're going for those geocaches that are at foot level. We're hunched over, we're digging into bushes, we're digging next to bricks. We're looking suspicious that way because the average person doesn't normally do that. What you need to do is geocache with confidence, or at least a good deception. Drop your car keys and try to pick them up while you're looking. Sit down next to where the geocache is. That way you look more natural and people will just pass you by. Let's go over now just a few examples of how you can fit in while geocaching and look even less suspicious to muggles. Let's start right off the bat with this. You're out geocaching and a muggler comes up. They're looking at you, wondering what you're doing. All you have to do in a case like that is simply put your GPS up to your ear and act as if it's a telephone. More times than not, people will just accept it that it's a phone and move on. Now, another way of geocaching and fitting in, I highly recommend wearing a construction vest. And to top that off, use a clipboard. The clipboard hides your GPS unit, and even if it doesn't hide it well, people automatically associate that you're an inspector and just ignore you completely. Okay, so let's discuss now what happens when you actually do get approached by a muggle. This could be your average citizen, this could be somebody in security, this could be somebody in law enforcement. What do? Well, what I highly recommend most times than not is to just come clean and tell them what you're doing. You're playing geocaching, this is a family-orientated game, and that if you're fortunate and you have one of your pamphlets with you that describes geocaching, give them a pamphlet. That way they know you're not just saying something off the top of your head, that this is a legitimate game, sport, or activity, and that if they have any questions, read the pamphlet and they'll know everything they need to know about geocaching. What you should not do is this. Don't speed off in your car. This actually happens with people in geocaching. They've either found a geocache and are spotted, or are hiding a geocache for the first time and spotted, and then for some reason, instead of just telling the person what's going on, they speed off in their car. If that doesn't look suspicious to anybody, I don't know what it would be. Don't do that, because people immediately think bomb. Okay, so let's quickly go over what we learned today. We learned that muggles are just as much at geocaching as geocaches are. That it's very important to know what to do when approached by a muggle and what not to do. Muggles are all over, but they're concentrated in certain areas like rest areas and parking lots that you have more chance of being spotted while geocaching. There are ways to geocache to look less suspicious. Use those items to your advantage. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed the day today at GeoSnippits U. This is Headhardhat from GeoSnippits, and we hope to see you out on the trails real soon. Bye-bye, folks.